Zardoz does not take place in 2023, despite all of the memes that you might be seeing online. Have you seen them pop up, Lan?
Actually, no, I haven't.
Well, Lan doesn't have Facebook, and I think most of them I have seen on Facebook, but it's popping up on Instagram, where it's that famous picture of Sean Connery wearing the red outfit with the gun, and it says, Zardoz takes place in 2023, so be prepared to start dressing like this. That is not the case. The movie actually takes place in 2293. So 2293 is when that movie takes place. Now, it was released...
People always get like the things mixed up. It's like a completely different year.
I think it's somebody just shares it once and then nobody's willing to do the research, because I guarantee not a lot of people have actually seen Zardoz. The one that always baffled me was when people would share Back to the Future. And it was like, dude, you don't remember that date? Like, come on. Like, that's not it. Like, people were sharing it years before it was the actual date.
Yeah.
So the movie was released February 6th, 1974. Now, Sean Connery took the role of Zed, that's the character's name, to help distance himself from playing James Bond. Brilliant move, right? Someone else was originally given the role. Can you think of who that is? Now, it was... written by John Boorman, the same guy that did Deliverance. There's your hint.
Oh, is it Angelina Jolie's dad?
No, it is not John Voight.
Oh, okay. John Voight, that's his name. So it has to be Boorman.
From here on out, we're just calling it Angelina Jolie's dad. Anytime we reference John Voight, it's just Angelina Jolie's dad. No, it's not him. But like, you're on the right path of going with Deliverance, because they made the movie together. I think it was like 2 years before.
Wait, did you hear my other answer? Was
no. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear it. I was too busy laughing about Angelina Jolie's dad. So Burt Reynolds, he was originally in line to play Zed, but he had to back out because he got sick, and that's how they ended up with Sean Connery. So John Boorman wrote the movie after a failed attempt to make a live-action version of a major work of fantasy. Can you think of what that is?
Major work of fantasy.
It's huge. Let me tell you, it's huge.
Is it? I can't remember the name of the freaking thing.
Yo, you remember the name of this?
Mars. Maybe. I don't know.
No, like that's a hint. Like, you know the name of this. Like, there's no way
John
you
Carter?
would. No, not John Carter.
It's the only thing I could think of.
There's no space involved. Like there's no space involved. Like, so
but
don't think
fantasy,
of that.
Though.
It's fantasy. Magic.
I don't know. The Hobbit.
Wizards. Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, okay.
So he was trying to convert.
I don't remember ever seeing Frodo dressed like that.
That's one of the reasons why they didn't end up making the movie. No, I'm kidding. There were some differences, though. I'm not as familiar with The Lord of the Rings. I do like to give Alan a tough time about The Lord of the Rings because I never actually watched them. No, I did, but not like sitting down all the way through. But that is a mission that I have this winter time. Is I am going to sit down and I'm going to watch all of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And Alan says I have to watch the director's cut.
Yes.
So
Director's cut is a must.
I'm just going to have to lock myself in a room for a very long time. So Boorman's version was eventually leaked online. So you can actually go read what his movie would have been like. Now, one thing he was able to capture that Peter Jackson's films did not include the musical and poetic culture of the Hobbits. That was more heavily prevalent in Boorman's version of what would have been the movie, as well as their distinctive sense of humor. Now, have you also read the books?
I've read The Hobbit. I've read The Silmarillion. I've not completely read through The Lord of the Rings.
Did you ever read any of the Song of Ice and Fire books? I know it seems kind of like we're tangent a little bit. Oh, yeah, don't. Like,
I heard there's too many names in there.
There's two. The guy will walk into a room, right? And there's a meeting. So there's a bunch of people there, and it will go through 2 full pages of describing who was there and what they're wearing. And it's like, oh my God. And then when they butchered the HBO series, it's like, I'm out, I'm done. And the only way I'll go back is when somebody puts up on Wikipedia how the books end. That's the only way I'm going back to that series, man. So some of the other changes for Boorman's version here, there were some major changes from the source material, including Frodo and the other characters having difficulty putting on the ring, and they fail after multiple attempts.
Okay.
I never, like, that's one thing I do remember is that they put the ring on. That's a pretty heavy plot point, right?
Yeah, and I mean, they put it on, like, Frodo puts it on quite a bit. Bilbo, of course, used it a lot. So
Bilbo
I mean,
Baggins.
I don't see why it was so hard.
In his version, they try multiple times, but they're not able to actually put the ring on. And at the end of the movie, again, Boorman's version, there are a few orcs that repent their evil ways, and they join in the men of, is it Minas Tirith?
Minas Tirith.
Minas Tirith. Say it again. Say it again one more time.
We ride for Minas Tirith.
I was really hoping you were going to do that. That's awesome. All right, so that's enough of a side tangent there on Lord of the Rings. So Boorman was working on that, and that for some strange reason, that kind of got him in this mode where he wrote this movie Zardoz, which again does not take place in 2023, takes place in 2293. So here are some quick plot points really quick about Zardoz. The human population is divided into the immortal Eternals and the mortal Brutals. There are also brutal exterminators, and that's actually what Zed is. He's one of the brutal exterminators who kill and terrorize other Brutals at the orders of a huge flying stone head called Zardoz.
Thus the name of the movie.
Hence the name of the movie. And it also, you know what that immediately took me to?
What's that?
Do you remember Rick and Morty? Are you familiar? Like,
are you talking about the show me what whatever?
The giant heads immediately. Like when I was watching the trailer for Zardoz and everything, it's immediately where my brain went to. And then there's also a Community episode that very heavily takes from Zardoz. It even has Starburns in the outfit, if you remember.
Oh, I do slightly.
It's one of the see, and look, here's the thing about Community. I know again we're getting on kind of some side tangents here, but Community for the first 3 seasons, that's the meat and potatoes of it, because that was when Dan Harmon was fully invested and everything was kind of going as planned. Season 4 was meh because they actually fired Dan Harmon, but then they brought him back for 5 and 6. I don't think 5 and 6 get the credit that they're due, but that's because Donald Glover ended up leaving, Yvette Nicole Brown ended up leaving as well, Chevy Chase ended up leaving, so they replaced them. The replacements I thought were great, but the movie the one episode that really takes from Zardoz is the Meow Meow Beans episode, where it separates based on your Meow Meow Bean score. And the number 5s rule everything. And then the number 1s, or the like whatever you are, you're banished to the outside.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
In that episode, Starburns wears the famous outfit. He wears the red outfit with the pistol. There was even a Black Mirror episode that was almost identical to that Meow Meow Beans episode. Did you watch all of Black Mirror?
That was a great episode. Wasn't it like with who was it? It was a famous actress, wasn't it?
There was two, and one Alice Eve, I think.
Was it
the one from Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
She was
Jessica Chastain or something.
And it was I don't think it was Jessica Chastain. I think it was.
Was it Ron Howard's?
It was Ron Howard's daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
And it was where Alice Eve's character was like the big famous one, and then Bryce Dallas Howard's character is trying to get back her score up to a certain point. All right.
That was a great episode.
Final point here. By the way, spoiler alert, massive spoiler alert here if you're planning on watching Zardoz anytime soon and you haven't seen it. So it turns out that this giant head was all a ruse. It was not some sort of a god. It was run by an Eternal named Arthur Frayne. Now, the name Zardoz comes from a popular work of fiction. Really, really big movie, old movie. Can you think of what that is? Zardoz.
Really big. Wizard of Oz? Zard of Oz?
Yeah, I tried to read the plot points for this movie, and it's confusing as all hell. But essentially, it's he points Zed in this direction of, I want you to read. Like, I need you to be educated. Because Zed is not a normal brutal. He's like, he was designed, I think, specifically to kind of undo everything. And so they pointed him to the Wizard of Oz, and that hence Zardoz. And if you think about it, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah. And that's exactly what Zardoz was all about. Spoiler alert. And it does not take place in 2023, so stop posting that shit, for the love of God.
Research.
Good God. All right, coming up, future videos. Alan and I, we're going to start getting into a topic that Alan knows a lot about. Wrestling. We are going to start doing some... I was trying to think about what are some things that Alan and I both enjoy. He still is avid watcher. I love watching any of the old stuff, especially documentaries. What's the one that was on Vice?
Dark Side of the Ring?
Dark Side of the Ring. Oh my God, it's so good. So flippin' good. So coming up, we're actually going to get to an episode about Buff Bagwell. I remember him being, back in the day, one of the big things is when he broke his neck.
Yeah.
So that's something that we'll have to get into. Also, Alan and I are going to talk about X-Files and the Humpty Dance. So more videos coming up. And here in 2023, Shim and I getting back together, doing a sort of miniature version of the history of rock. We're going to keep it like these episodes where they're about 10 to 15 minutes long. And some of the episodes that we have coming up for that, we're going to talk about Cream. And we're going to talk about Australia's big day out. Obviously, Shim being an Australian can hopefully give us his insights on that. But those videos coming up, so make sure you're clicking like down below, the little thumb. Comment down below if there's anything that you think we got wrong. Art, if you're watching, just again, say, at least I'm not an Everton fan. I want that comment on every single video that we do from Art is, at least I'm not an Everton fan. And make sure you click the bell as well so that you get the notifications when we either go on live or a new video pops up.